don't know if anybody else enjoys our dance party beginnings, but we sure do.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. And it is time for another episode, episode 4 of What Is She Thinking? Thank you for letting me be myself or myself.
Oh, I see what you did there, Melanie. I see what you did there.
The show where myself, Melanie Marshall, and my wonderful friend, our cognitive neuroscientist, Dr. Heather Collins, get together and talk about what is in your brain and how is it responding to what is out there in the world. And we're in a bit of a playful mood today. We are in a bit of a happy mood today, and we want to help you get there as well. So we're talking today about gratitude. And why are we talking about that, Dr. Heather?
Well, for me, I am in the United States, and today is Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving! And to all of our Canadian friends and you, marvelous Melanie Marshall, happy Thanksgiving. And even if you're not celebrating, I really want you to know that I am engaging in gratitude today at its deepest level. I am so thankful for you, my dear friend, and for this show and for all of our listeners and for our friendship that we've developed that has become so dear to me. So thank you.
You're going to make me cry right off the top.
Wait. I'm going to make you cry? That's a role reversal because listeners, if you don't know, Melanie is known for her ability to make tough people, world leaders included, cry.
I don't try to do it. I plug into their feelings and their hearts, and then we're away to the races. But I feel it, and I feel grateful too. I wanted to do something a bit more positive because although I'm sure you may find a way to bring up Alzheimer's in this show, we have done some tough questions and some tough stories, and I think people are really feeling it today. If you're in America, of course, Canadians, we feel a little superior because we did it like 2 months ago, but it's one of those topics where people know they should be grateful, kind of. We're all told we should be grateful. We get it is a good goal, and yet somehow it is hard to do sometimes. We don't always know, is it worth it? What purpose does it serve? Does it actually do anything? And I'm curious. My first thing was when I'm feeling grateful. So like I'm feeling grateful for what you just said. I'm feeling grateful that I have an adorable dog who loves to play in the snow, it turns out, which is great. Didn't know that would happen. And when I feel those things of gratitude, like what has actually turned on in my brain?
Well, I think it's fair to say gratitude turns your brain on in all the right places. And in fact, hey, one of the things gratitude does is actually strengthens your prefrontal cortex right here in the front. And we've talked about this before. This is the part of your brain that's really responsible for problem solving, decision making, all those really, really challenging skills that we need during tough times and during good times. So it strengthens that. It also turns off your brain in the right places. So we talked about the amygdala recently, and it actually dampens your fear response. And it
Gratitude dampens your fear.
Gratitude actually dampens your fear response. So I'm going to challenge you right off the bat. And this might be a tough question, but think about a time, if you can, and I know you're right now sifting through your 1,587,000 amazing stories that you have. Think about a time maybe when you were in a really, really challenging situation and you were afraid, and then something switched and you found just a little something, a little nugget of gratitude, a little something to be thankful for, and how maybe that changed your perception of the situation, or maybe your outlook, or maybe what you thought was possible. Can you think of anything?
I feel like that is a good challenge. In general, I find gratitude for me comes up a lot. Less if you're thinking about somewhere where I was afraid. Afraid is hard. If you want a war story, it's hard. But
well, maybe you didn't actively feel afraid, but maybe your amygdala was a little motivated.
Just give me a second. I'm thinking. You got to let me think before I answer. The Otherwise, I'll never get to it. I'm trying. I think about driving into Tripoli which is the capital of Libya, when Muammar Gaddafi, the old dictator, was falling, and how there was a lot of stuff about that trip in particular that was scary and stressful, because it was quite a lively situation. Nobody was clearly in charge anymore, and that's usually the most dangerous time. And there were a lot of problems in the teams. Like there was a lot of difficult corporate stuff happening. And so that probably did not make me feel great. But when I was able to, it's weird. When I think of it, I think of this. I found this. We were sleeping in this Gaddafi loyalist compound that was now empty. And we found one that was pretty nice to sleep in. And we found mattresses. And there was a really pretty red silk scarf with like sequins on the end of it. And I don't know why, but for whatever reason, I thought, wow, I'm so lucky to be having this experience. And so, it's hard for me to probably go the way that, I don't know what else it would be, but it's like, for me, you're thinking all these things it's probably more the feeling of ingratitude, why am I here? And there's nowhere, And then all of a sudden being like, oh, yeah.
I love that. I think that's perfect, because sometimes we think of fear and we think like, oh, I'm afraid and everything. And you, with all of your world experiences and war and all sorts of dangerous things you've been in, you don't typically have that response, as you were saying, of like, oh, I'm really afraid. But it could just be that your amygdala was firing a little bit. And maybe it was a situation where you knew you weren't experiencing fear, but maybe it was a dangerous
stress. Situation. I was experiencing stress and the awareness of danger.
That's perfect. Yeah. Stress and the awareness of danger. Yeah. And that could be one way fear manifests itself. And I just love the image you created of everything is going on. Everything is tumultuous. Nothing is predictable. It's a dangerous situation. There's a lot going on, a lot of stress. And you found a relatively safe, pleasant place to sleep, and there was this beautiful red silk there, and that's such an amazing image. I think that is a really beautiful visual way and verbal way, as far as stories go, of describing gratitude.
I might have to. I was like, safe, yes, totally, and that's what we're telling my mom.
Safe-ish. Safe-ish.
It was safe-ish.
Safer.
And then, okay, I'll tell you the second part of the gratitude that day, which also was a huge laugh, because I was with a fellow traveler, Lise Doucette. She and I did a lot of the Arab Spring together, and we did all of the Arab Spring together. And we had gone to sleep in this place, and one of our colleagues, who was very protective of us, had decided he was going to sleep outside our door. Oh. And somebody came to wake him up, like to wake us up. And he leapt up off of where he'd been sleeping with the couch cushions with a big kitchen knife, which was what he had found in our compound, and scared the living daylights out of this poor cameraman who just wanted to come and like try and tell us like, okay, guys, you got to start getting moving because, we've got things to do. And I think about like, oh, maybe I shouldn't, but oh, how I laughed. And, for me, that can be a real laughter and lightness. Can be an easy way into gratitude. I wanted to talk, just when I was asking about what turns on, what I meant is like, is it my prefrontal cortex? Is it my hippocampus?
I beat you to it. With the hippocampus. You're just baiting me with the hippocampus. So look, that's an open invitation, and here I go. And listeners, the hippocampus, if I have to pick a favorite child of the brain, the hippocampus is
okay, focus. You can talk about it, but you can only talk about it in reference to this, because we do want to get into some ways to get into gratitude.
I'm going to say yes, it does affect your hippocampus. And one of the reasons is that engaging in gratitude actually promotes resilience in your brain. So when you had that experience, that probably refreshed you, refreshed your brain, and really made you like a bit more resilient to take on like whatever was coming your way the next day in this crazy situation. And what that does is create a memory of I can get through it. And even in the tough times, there are still glimmers of light.
Yes. Okay. All right. That was an excellent use of our hippocampus time on this particular on this particular episode. We'll talk about it again. Absolutely. One thing I wanted to talk about, and I think I've been thinking about it because I mean, have you, like, everywhere you're looking, if you look at social media, it's I'm thankful, I'm grateful, I'm thankful, I'm ba 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 ba. It's kind of everywhere, and I'm curious. Well, I have a lot of thoughts about how to do this because gratitude is one of the things that I believe helps us move through uncertainty.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the top tricks. Like, when I talk about how I've watched people who have just had their homes destroyed, pick up and rise again, then I will tell you gratitude is always a piece of that. That ability to be like, oh, okay, we've got a campfire. Oh my gosh, we're here together. Oh, the children are laughing. Like small elements that they're able to be grateful for that really support their resilience and their moving forward. And so I think it's hugely important. I also think it can be challenging. I also think it's not always as easy as the sort of like, I mean, what you said was beautiful and lovely, and I'm going to thank you at the end of this. And
we've got time, so I anticipate a good one.
I'm warming up.
Don't be chat GPTing that.
Oh no, this is just going to come all from my beautiful ADD head.
I love it.
But I'm curious about, how we can help people feel gratitude more. Not in the sense of making a fake list, but we know it has real benefits. I know it has benefits, and so do you. And I'm curious about how we can turn it on.
Well, I love what you said when you said feel it more. And, we talk a lot about how the brain's cognitive system in the front and the emotional system kind of in the side of your head and the limbic system kind of challenge each other. And it's really, really difficult for them to both rise in action at the same time. And some of this gratitude, so to speak, that you're seeing online, I think this is very frontal. This is very cognitive. It's very kind of, it feels fleeting. It may not always feel genuine. And when we feel real gratitude, you nailed it. We feel it. We feel it in our emotional systems in our brain. And I love your campfire example. I think it's start where you are. Start where you are and use your senses if you have to. Look around. It could, there have been times when I've had a really, really long travel day and it's been, it was supposed to be the other day I had a quick flight home, or what was supposed to be a quick flight home, and it turned into, rather than 4 hours, 12 hours of travel. And honestly, I was really grateful for this like very comfortable pair of socks I was wearing.
Love that.
I was wearing a nice pair of wool socks, and at the end of a long day, my feet still felt nice and cozy and warm, but not like sweaty or gross or nasty. And I was really thankful for that. And so I think start where you are and start small. So I'm going to challenge you right now, Melanie. What is one thing you're grateful for right now? Something that relates to your senses in your environment, something you can see, smell, touch, feel.
I know what my senses are.
No. I know you know what they are. These are just cues for listeners to think about.
Sorry. Well, okay. Well, we'll do that. We can do that after. So you're asking me the question. It sounded like
I'm asking you the question. I want to know right now.
Yeah, but it sounded like you didn't think I knew what my senses were. I'm like, I know this. I teach this. So I would say, what am I thankful for right this second? I am thankful that this room is the perfect temperature, neither too hot nor too cold. And that allows me to be fully present with you.
Oh.
And that allows me to be fully present with you, as in all of you. So if I was going to say one thing, I'd say that was it. And my question is, were you struggling to find things to be grateful for on that day? Were you finding it a bit of a challenge?
I was. This is the day we were both traveling home from a work trip in Detroit.
I actually know the answer to this.
I know you know the answer, but it was a struggle for me. It was one of these like, oh, we're on the tarmac and something's wrong with the plane and we have to drive back to a gate, but first we have to find a gate, and then we're sitting on the plane for an hour, and then we're in the airport, and I had a layover, and on my layover I barely had enough time to get food, and I hadn't eaten all day. And this was around 6 p.m. or some such thing, and there was a restaurant open, and this is the kind of airport restaurant that insisted on you using the QR code to order, and the QR code didn't work. And they kept telling me, try this, try that. And I was like, nothing is working. I picked up my things. I moved from a table to the bar where I could see a human who was the bartender. And I ordered from that human. And I cannot tell you, I have never been so grateful to see another human.
See, that can be. So, I mean, one of my things, you bring up two things there. I am often kind of asked, is it Pollyanna-ish to believe in gratitude, optimism, all these things that I think are really key. And I think it is absolutely not, as long as you are being real about the stuff that is bad, that is happening. Because like you were like, this is irritating, my day is longer, this is taking more time than I wish it had. But then you were like, oh, real person. And that was real gratitude, felt in your limbic system.
It was. And that real person was the real food, which was even better.
Real food. And it was and then you had your socks thing, right? Which was a real thing and a small thing. And like the people I think who do gratitude the best, I mean, sure, everyone's going to perform it a little bit on LinkedIn. But the people I think who do gratitude the best go small.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think about colleagues of mine in Gaza who didn't like try to be grateful for something big, like even these are people maybe who were faithful, but they were like, I'm not going to be grateful for God because that is really big and really abstract and it is hard to feel right now. And I'm not saying they didn't still have that. I'm just saying that was hard for them to connect to. And when it's hard to connect to, it can actually make you feel worse, right? So if you try to be, I'm grateful for all this crappy stuff without being like, this is crappy.
Yeah.
It doesn't give you the same boost.
No, you have to acknowledge.
I think that's really important. Whereas if you are like, this isn't great, and my kids slept through the night, and this isn't great, but the sunrise, the sunset are still beautiful. Like the small things, I think then have much more impact. And that's what I've seen from people I know in places where you're like, how do they have anything to be grateful for? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, they're not pretending to be grateful for everything. They're being honest about things that are very much thumbs down. And that actually opens up the door to the resilience building type of gratitude. That's been my experience, at least.
I agree. And if you've had a really, really bad day, no matter who you are, where you come from, where you are in the world or what's happening, a warm meal and some conversation at the end of the day can feel like the greatest gift you've ever received. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And a lot of times when people think about the big things, gratitude journals are big. And I want to say, I appreciate gratitude journals. The research is solid. If you're looking for a way to make this a more regular habit, do that. But when you're doing your gratitude journals, make it the small things we've been talking about. So the big things you were talking about, Melanie, about like, I'm grateful for, whatever. The really, really big things often actually do feel performative. And that's because people sometimes feel like, I feel bad if I don't mention the big things, but it doesn't have to be about the big things. This morning, I was really grateful for my kitty cat's really, really fluffy paws that are super soft and cute.
Love that. I love that because that is very present moment and that is just real and sensory. What could you see, feel, and touch? I didn't tell you the other one, taste. Hopefully you didn't taste Porter's paws. Did you?
I did not, although I have had the rude awakening at 5 a.m. where he reaches over and sticks his paw on my mouth. And it wakes me up, and it's disgusting and gross. But then I'm still thankful that he's here and he did that and he's cute and I love him. So I think often when we're confronted with challenging things, there is still a little bit of a positive thing to be grateful for.
I think sometimes gratitude can be being in the presence of someone else's gratitude and learning what they genuinely feel gratitude for can be a surprise and an amazing way to connect. You know, you talk about a gratitude journal, but like the sharing of gratitude, as much as I just, as much as I just dunked on posts, but I actually love them. But I think when they're real and when it's, I think often about one of my most profound moments as a filmmaker was an expression of gratitude. And I was in Afghanistan making a film about maternal mortality, not a feel-good topic, although it was a feel-good film, weirdly, in the end. And there was a woman who ended up giving birth to a stillborn child that I was in the room when the baby was born. And it was this moment of, profound sadness and quiet. And I'm in there filming and but she leaned up to the midwives and said, "Thank you for saving my life, because now I have another chance." And because for her, so many women died in childbirth, even though it was sad to lose a child, to live was something to be super grateful for. And
absolutely.
And that gratitude really, it connected me and it taught me something so important about that story, her, everything that I couldn't have. I never would have learned. I mean, not that I ever wanted that to happen, but it's just such a powerful way to understand other people's hearts and other people's experiences when you know what really hits them in the limbic system, the lasting, powerful limbic system. I'm curious about your views on service, because sometimes there will be moments like that where you connect deeply and are surprised. And I think surprise gratitude can be a learning experience. But I also think sometimes gratitude just can't be felt. Like people are numb. And for me, my thing on that is go and do something for somebody else. Service. It's another thing. It's another like tool for me for uncertainty. Because I think, people are like, well, when you feel good, first you're grateful and then you want to share it. And I'm like, no, you can be totally ungrateful, not feeling a damn thing anywhere. And if you go and do something for somebody else, however small, I mean, open a door or say, hey, nice hair. Like, I'm not talking about, a bequest of $1 billion. It does something. It changes something. I know it does. So what is it? Come on, tell me. Does this?
You might not like what it changes, but anytime you do something for others, it's actually a very, very selfish act. And that's because it actually gives your brain a big dopamine squirt. So it's essentially like you doing a quick drug that makes you feel better.
Really?
It is. And that doesn't mean I'm saying don't go do things for others. Absolutely do it. What I'm saying is it's a win-win. You're doing something for your brain immediately and you're helping somebody else. So it makes you makes your brain feel like a superhero.
Really? Why?
It
Why
does.
Why does it make our dopamine go? Is it because we're social animals? Why?
Because it makes us feel like a good person, and our brains are selfish. Our brain is designed to keep ourselves going. And if we feel like we've done something good for ourselves, we feel like we can make it to the next day. So it does actually trigger that release of dopamine, which is that really like feel good hormone in your brain. So that
tells me we should do loads of good things. What about to my point that, and now you could explain this to me. So is the dopamine goes because you've done something. For me, it helps me remember, And I've seen it help other people remember that you always have something to give and you always can give. So it's a mindset shift as well. And like when you put yourself into that mindset, you tend to get out of, the horrible self-pity mindset. And speaking for myself and only for myself. But I also find I'm able to feel more grateful. I'm able to access more genuine gratitude once I've done service of any kind. What's the science of that?
Well, there could be a couple things going on there. One of the things that could happen is not the rosiest. And that is that when you're doing service for somebody else, you're putting yourself in a position of having something somebody else doesn't have. And you're grateful for that.
That's no. Normally that sends me down a spiral.
Well, that's one of the things. The other thing is that the kind of service you're talking about is not like going online and donating $10 to a cause. You're talking about face-to-face service. Not just, but a lot of times one of the benefits of face-to-face service is simply that social interaction. As humans, we are social creatures. And that face-to-face interaction can really honestly just help us feel better about everything that's going on in our lives and takes the focus away from me, and shifts it to us, whoever I'm interacting with, and you, the other person that we're interacting with.
Yes, I totally get that. And I think you can get that doing a $10 donation to something you care about. I really do. Because that otherwise GoFundMe and Kiva wouldn't exist.
Oh, sure. But the social interaction, the social part is a separate mechanism for helping you feel gratitude.
But what I'm asking is, that's still not answering my nitty gritty science question. And we have to answer my nitty gritty science question so we can get to the takeaways and everyone can get back to their food. The nitty gritty science question is, aside from the fact you're like, we think we're better than other people. I don't think that is it. I really, really don't. It is... I don't. I think most people who do service.
Well, what's your question?
Well, I asked it already. I asked it before, but I disagree. I just want to go back and disagree with that. I really didn't like that because I don't actually agree with it. I don't think that is what makes most people feel good.
Well, I'm not saying that's what makes most people feel good. I'm trying to address the complexities of how our brain handles some of these situations.
But I'm asking what part of the brain? I'm asking what is the pathway between dopamine and gratitude? Limbic system gratitude. What happens in a nutshell?
Well, gratitude isn't just limbic system. So there's definitely dopamine that makes you feel better. There's the emotion part in your limbic system that makes you happy, but you have to recognize that. And that's what we actually started with, which is the strengthening of your prefrontal cortex. Because the moment you start recognizing the situation, that's when you start thinking more deeply about it. And thinking about it makes you make a memory of it. And that makes you want to do more of it because it makes you feel good because of the dopamine. So it's kind of a circular system of brain activity that happens.
Circular system. So what's the prefrontal cortex doing?
In the gratitude,
but in the gratitude thing, what is it doing in the gratitude thing?
So it's thinking about what's happening right here and right now. So it's making meaning. It's making meaning out of it. That's exactly right. It's making meaning out of it.
Okay, so dopamine squirt, squirt, squirt.
Everyone loves a good dopamine squirt.
Everyone loves it. I know you do.
We all love a good dopamine squirt. Who doesn't?
So I get a good dopamine squirt because my brain is set up to be social, a social creature. That's what I was trying to get at. I believe that's why it works, is because we're set up to be social. Yeah, am I correct?
Well, it also works. You get that dopamine squirt because you're dampening down your fear response also.
Now you're too far into the weeds.
It's both.
Okay, it's fine. All right, we're going to. So the point being that service works. That's all I'm trying to get at, is that I see
gratitude works and service works.
And gratitude and service works to get us back to gratitude.
Oh, it could go either way. Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm saying you don't have to be feeling grateful to be of service. Service can open it up. That's my experience.
Terrible and engage in service, and that will help you feel better. You can feel terrible and engage in gratitude, and that will help you feel better.
See, that See, I would argue that actually, when you can't even find the smallest thing to be grateful for, I would say, well, moving into takeaways, because we're at the end of the show anyway, I would say that actually, when you cannot access anything, then the reality is do service, because
100%.
that would be this is my takeaway. Like, stop talking over me. I'm trying to give my takeaway. Because for me, I think sometimes it's too hard to access, and then that really can put us in a hole. And if we do something for somebody else, even feeling bad, it will light you up and bring you back. And there's something really powerful about that. It makes you feel powerful. It gives you agency. I will argue with Heather about does it make you feel superior or not until but we don't actually have time to argue after the show is over. We both got stuff to do. But for me, I think start with service if you can't access it, and don't try, if you are like, how can I be more grateful? Start small, like stay small. Like, because the more you actually make it something you feel in your heart, which occasionally might be big stuff, like I live in Canada, but it might be stuff like I live in Canada and that means I got this cinnamon drizzle latte, that I probably feel more. And so Heather, I'd love to know, what are the takeaways you want to give people for how they can up their dopamine squirting?
Let's all get more dopamine squirting in, but not too much, because that leads to other problems. So I agree with you, start small. And I'm going to say, by starting small, maybe it's something very, very small. Maybe it is that cozy pair of socks. Maybe it's that caramel candy that's the last one in the package that you haven't eaten yet. And maybe it's your kitty cat or your dog sitting there, and you just have the ability to access their delicious, furry selves, and you can give them a few scritches. Start small, and this is how your brain actually builds resilience. This is one thing you can do. Start small and take action.
And just to reiterate, you're not opposed to gratitude journals, but the real way that people are going to get the biggest benefits out of, you're going to say, what is the one way you're going to get the biggest benefit out of gratitude?
I would say do the gratitude journals, write down 3 things at the beginning or end of every day that you're grateful for, and do not make it the big things. Mm-hmm. Don't be grateful that you're breathing, unless you have emphysema or COPD or something, and then, go for it. Make it grateful for the small things. Make it grateful for your cinnamon drizzle latte, or being able to pet my kitty cat.
And that will make our limbic system, prefrontal cortex, hippocampus loop work better. Is that correct?
It's going to make everything work better. It's going to dampen your fear and threaten response in your amygdala. It's going to sharpen your prefrontal cortex's ability to make decisions and think well and make good meaning out of things. And research is pretty solid on gratitude journals. It increases perceived happiness. So that's one way to go.
All right. Well, I have a whole thing about journals, but that's for another episode too. I was like, you started saying something there at the end. I'm like, oh, I want to do that, but we don't have time. So Dr. Heather, before we say goodbye, I am grateful for you. I am grateful for your friendship. And although you are a super bad research mama jama with a PhD, you are also one of the most loving and caring people I know. And I see you do that for everyone. You live service very much. And maybe it's just for the dopamine, but I don't think so. No.
But maybe it isn't. I'm not aware. I don't know what my brain's doing.
God, if you don't know what your brain's doing, there's no hope for any of us. But I'm so I'm really grateful for that. I'm grateful for the human you are and the fact that you're sharing all of this brain wisdom with us. So I hope you have a wonderful holiday, you and Porter and your husband. I hope you guys get to do lots of small G grateful things. And I'm going to go drive in the snow because it's November in Canada.
I am thankful for all of our listeners, for you, Melanie. I am thankful for my 68-degree weather here in Charleston, South Carolina today. And I really appreciate the opportunity to just talk with you every week and to interact with our listeners every week. Thank you all so much for contributing to What Is She Thinking?
We really appreciate it. And next week we are going to do a show. I think we're going to do a show about sleep because people have asked for it. There have been questions. So if you have questions about how to get a good night's sleep, what to do if you can't get a good night's sleep and you still need to function, we're your gals and we will be there next week. But until then, hope you can find something you're grateful for. If not, open a door and have a wonderful, wonderful week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.